A broken clock is right twice a day, but a working clock set just a minute behind is never right. I set my clock 12 hours fast so I remember to do things tomorrow. But if a working clock is a few minutes ahead, you will rarely be late. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. People say a broken clock is right twice a day, but my old digital Casio don't say shit. How can that be right? Even a well-tuned quartz watch will still gain or lose up to 15 seconds a month, which means it will eventually reach the right time with a little patience. Wait, how did this shower thought get approved, yet mine got immediately deleted? The automod on this subreddit is absolute garbage. I have a watch with a 24-hour movement. It is only correct once a day. This means something, but that working clock will be only 1 minute late throughout, but the broken clock can be hours off for various times of the day. I feel like I'm the latter. A husband and wife sat down at their table at a coffee shop in New York. I hope he did that because he finally found the ideal present for her birthday, and didn't want her to go for it first. Smart man. I can tell just by the shoes a woman wears if I'm going to fuck her, or she's wearing 3 heels or higher. I'm definitely going to be fucking her. If she's wearing nice comfy running shoes, I'm probably not going to be able to catch her. Oh, guess I'll order them online. I'm embarrassed that I had to read this twice to get it. She got her shoes by banging cock in Bangkok. Need to update the joke. $300 for a pair of shoes is a good deal. If she's going to buy some shoes anyways, there's not much chance of finding shoes the wife likes for that price. Academics and scientists are the poorest group from the most intelligent people in our society. One can equate academics and scientists. It's more like saying all priests are men but not all men are priests. I know dozens of fellow geophysicists, geologists, metallurgists, etc., and nearly all work outside academia, and we usually make excellent salaries. Take any field such as chemistry, and most don't work in academia but for pharmaceuticals, food companies, ag producers, weapons manufacturers, etc. Some scientists have a percentage of patents discovered in their labs. A few become wealthy indeed. I know a scientist at Vanderbilt who drives a Ferrari. Really flamboyant guy, very brilliant and rich. Many scientists who work for private corporations are doing just fine. At what point is an excuse an explanation? An explanation is why something happened. An excuse is why it's okay. I've always said an explanation tells why something happened, and excuse is an explanation with the expectation of no negative consequences. You give an explanation, the person you gave your explanation to then has to decide if they accept your explanation as an excuse. When you give an excuse, you expect to avoid the consequences of your actions. When you provide an explanation, you're merely giving information in case anyone is wondering why you did it. But you're still ready to face whatever consequences arise, be it diminished respect for you or having to actually do something to fix the situation. I guess explanation becomes an excuse when you expect that it will give you a pass for what you just did. As someone with ADHD, to me it's like no one knows the difference and will rather accuse you of making excuses. Donald Trump is on the Epstein list, but don't worry. Minor felonies only lead to major consequences if you're poor or as dark as this joke. He was just visiting his daughter. God, all the gravy seals coming in here to defend Daddy Pumpkin with their infinite levels of whataboutism is just hilarious, dude. It's a joke. Let it go. They are so damn sensitive. All these idiots on here going beat by LLCL and ton as though any of us would go to bat for him, deny that he's a scumbag, or vote for him. Shite. This ain't even a joke. Hey, that joke works with Bill Clinton as well. Donald Trump was on the plane but never was on the island. I don't like Trump and I know he is not liked by many, but at least tell the truth. Here's hoping Mark Epstein spills the supposedly said he knew a secret for both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump that would have made them both drop out instantly if it were public knowledge. Everyone know where the Big Apple is. And do they know where the Indian Apple is? I think it's with the Minnesota. Did you see what Tennessee? I saw what Arkansas. What did Delaware? Her New Jersey. Fine, take my upvote. In Minneapolis store. Do you know where the USA greatest country S gets there? And here I thought that it was in Colborne just south of the 401. Of course I do. Someone put it in the Minnesota, Big Apple in Minneapolis. What about where an apple is? It didn't fall far from the big tree. As long as he pays his taxes by April 15th. GF made this up. Why are South Koreans so good at video games? This is absolutely as a keeper. Dude, your GF's a dad. They have little else for entertainment. Living in such soulless cities. Key to an optimal relationship is listening to each other's jokes. Oh, is she your next of kin? That's Samsung I haven't heard before. Dad energy knows no gender a ring on that shit. And there's always that one guy who doesn't get it and stupidly asks for the explanation. Allow me to be that guy as I do not understand the joke. Make her your wife. This is gold. Your GF is dad material, because they make a career out of it. Here's a vote for getting her drunk. Marry her. Why are Koreans good at driving games? Very cute. But just FYI, it rhymes with Sunday. Fuck. I was confused for a while and chuckled when I get the joke. Good one. Excellent. That's not how you pronounce Hyundai. Where do you guys come up with this stuff? I started a nightclub for guys with erectile dysfunction. Is it hard to get in? Gives a whole new meaning to EDM music. Erectile dysfunction music. A lot of sad trombone music. I couldn't find out what the dress code was, so I just came in my pants. Only played soft rock. It happens to every nightclub. Did you have a soft opening to test it? I'm guessing it's not hard to get into. What was it made of? I heard there was no wood in the place at all. Me? I was up all night. I felt so out of place, I just couldn't fit in. Do you at least serve your drinks stiff? It was for members only. Andrew, that you? No one got up for the music. If you had a time machine, to which year in the past would you travel for one day? Oh man, sure, it's July 18, 2010, when Bitcoin's lowest price was 5 cents. Who's up for the journey? 1956, to meet my grandpa. He died well before I was born and he was the only grandparent I never met. As for the year, I settled on it because that's when he was my age. The 50s were also an interesting time. Dude, I'd probably dial it back to the 70s, you know? The music scene was epic. The fashion was wild, and the vibe just seemed groovy. It's like a one-day backstage pass to the era of classic rock and disco. Plus, I'd love to witness those legendary concerts that people still talk about. Time traveling to the 70s? Sign me up. One day before the time machine was patented. Looking at rabies and tetanus, it's no wonder that people in old times believed in demon possession. That and schizophrenia, ergot or other non-fatal poisoning, the entry of psychoactive and/or hallucinogenic substances into their bodies whether deliberately introduced or not, delusions hallucinations in general as the result of illness, fever, tiredness, psychosis, whatever. TBF, it's no wonder our ancestors believed the shit they did. There was a post recently about a woman with severe Tourette's syndromes. She would thrash, slap herself, shout obscenities, and throw herself on the floor. Anyone from that time period would 100% believe it was demon spelling. Isn't there a phenomenon where corpses can appear to have moved and have blood around the mouth which some believe lead to the belief in vampires? Seeing someone get naked feels more intimate than seeing someone naked. That's why a doctor-nurse masseuse leaves the room for you to get ready. It's like unwrapping your gift, or an unboxing video. Getting a willing someone else naked is even better. Fully clothed. It's like peeling back layers, revealing vulnerability and authenticity. Embrace the beauty of vulnerability. Absolutely, that's why they've got a whole category on every porn website dedicated to the art of undressing. Because sometimes the anticipation can be as thrilling as the reveal. Smiley face, eyes. Love it when they have keep it, in porn. Super hate the jump cut from, maybe, to the most brutal motions. I cannot explain why this is, I can only explain that you are right. Till baby aspirin should not be given to babies as it can cause Reyes syndrome. First drug I ever took illicitly. I was probably 5 or 6. I knew it was bad for me to take too much, but it was delicious and tasted just like those orange vanilla push pops. I climbed up on top of the bathroom sink to access the medicine cabinet. I kept myself to a maximum of 1 a day. My baby takes baby aspirin daily as a blood thinner due to CHD. Multiple cardiologists have recommended it. You really don't see a lot of aspirin consumption anymore. Used by those who have a heart attack risk, but that's about S syndrome is a terrible disease. My friend got it as a kid, got it at age 10. Took aspirin while he had chicken pox. Fried his brain and was left severely mentally disabled. Saddest thing ever. Yeah, and Baby Bell cheese is not made from babies, either. Still, people who smoke about 1 cig day have about 40-50 of the excess risk associated with smoking 20-day heart attack and stroke. Next you're gonna tell me that drunk cigs count. How I see this is if you're in for one, you might as well do the 20 or 40-50 of the people in trials who say they smoke about 1 cig a day lie, and really smoke a lot more. Something rarely talked about, is that the more cigarettes someone smokes a day is directly proportional to a decreased risk of Parkinson's disease. Link. A different angle: you don't need to quit. Just go down to a single cig a day to reduce your risk by about 50. So after 2, you're immune from further damage? Is it just me confused by the title? Does this mean smoking only 1 cigarette causes about 40-50 of the risk of having a heart attack or stroke compared to smoking 20 day, 40 day, and you do a complete 360? Perfectly healthy. What about half a cigarette? Still, that Austrian police once locked a suspect in a basement interrogation room and forgot him there. accidentally making him the reigning world record holder for longest survival without either food or water 18 days. In 1979, then 18-year-old Andreas Mihavex received the equivalent of €2,000 in compensation since the inquest didn't manage to find out who of the 3 police officers were responsible. 2 years later, a civil court added the equivalent to €18,000 to his. He finally was discovered. He was close to death and it took a long time for him to recover. What the fuck is it with Austrians and locking people in basements? How can you go 18 days without water? I didn't think that was possible. You know, after about 2 days, this dude was contemplating how he would just agree to whatever the interrogator said he did or knew. I'm skeptical of the word accidental in this. To serve, protect, and break negligence records. That Keith Hernandez testified before a federal grand jury in September 1985 that an estimated 40% of MLB players used cocaine. Even the Pittsburgh Pirates mascot, the Pirate Parrot, was implicated for buying cocaine. As a Pirates fan, I am keenly aware of this. There were players who slide headfirst because their coke vial was in their back pocket. Yeah, but for me, Hernandez's credibility has been kinda questionable ever since the whole Magic Loogie thing. I mean, it was the 80s. Any sports mascot in the 80s not doing cocaine should have been fired immediately. The book The Amazings details the coke and booze ride the '86 Mets championship team was on. I heard he spit on 2 guys at a Mets game in the '90s. Hit a postal worker. Pretty sure it was an open secret the Pirate Parrot sold cocaine to players. That Subway spokesman Jared Fogel's charity, which was worth $187,000, got dissolved by the state of Indiana in 2012 for repeatedly failing to pay a $5 charity registration fee. He was busy doing other things. For something as little as $5, you'd think Fogel would have paid more attention. Dissolve isn't really the correct term here to describe what happened. The Secretary of State yanked their ability to do business and yanked their registered name. However, they were not required to suddenly sell off assets or cease to exist just because of the state. Just one more minor issue for Jared. The more I hear about this guy, the less I care for him. I wonder what he was doing? Source for the $187,000 figure, which wasn't included in my Post's article. I used the 2012 revenue. It was between that and a $5 foot long. Which one you picking? That in 1991, singer Reba McEntire's band left San Diego in 2 private planes, with McEntire, her husband and her stylist intending to follow in a separate aircraft the next day. One of the planes crashed, killing 8 members of McEntire's band. Faith Hill auditioned to be her backup singer but lost out to a woman who ultimately died in the plane crash. I normally don't have this problem, but I had to read the title several times before I realized it never mentions her entire band. She played the next scheduled show with a replacement band. Didn't cancel. People thought it was the Academy Awards she played 9 days later. She's a survivor. There is a conspiracy that Reba died in the plane crash and was replaced by a lookalike. I saw a similar situation on Columbo. Better ask her one more thing. She wrote a whole album about it. What an awful accident. That when testing a topical patch version of a blood pressure medication, it was found that people grew hair under the patch. The drug was then rebranded as Rogaine. The mechanism by which it promotes hair growth is still not fully understood. The active ingredient in Rogaine minoxidil widens the blood vessels, increasing blood flow to the hair follicle when applied externally on the much is understood. But people report hair starts falling out again as soon as they stop taking it, and it's not cheap. Wasn't Viagra a blood pressure medication too? Same with Propecia finasteride. Finasteride has been used for the treatment of symptomatic benign prostatic hyperplasia BPH in men with an enlarged prostate and for the treatment of male pattern hair loss androgenetic alopecia in men. Finasteride has been found to be effective in the treatment of hirsutism, excessive facial and/or body hair growth in women. Wikipedia. What is the most gruesome torture technique? There are a lot of torture and execution techniques that, while sounding gruesome, have little to no historical record. The worst one that we do have good historical records of is the breaking wheel, where the victim's bones would be systematically broken from their extremities towards their core. Their then broken limbs would be woven through the spokes of the R. Records of people surviving this for as many as 9 days. There was a method they did in ancient China where they would tie a dude suspended over a bamboo sprig and would wait until it grew through the person's butthole and out their mouth. That seems pretty fucked. I recently watched a podcast with a former CIA operative that said that they will put the person of interest in a concrete cell with no windows and play the sounds of 1,000 rabbits being slaughtered. He said the hardest people have broken in minutes. What's a genuinely good company that isn't just greedy? Bosch. It's basically set up to generate money for charity. 94 shares held by charity, 6 by Bosch family. It's a private company, so they aren't driven by fund managers towards short-term goals. Climate neutral since 2020. They also happen to invest double on R&D to the industry average. They are my first preference when buying tools or appliances as they are reasonably priced and last quite well. Bob's Red Mill. Bob transferred ownership to his employees instead of selling it to a big corporation. Winco Foods. They are employee-owned and generally have much lower prices than Safeway, Kroger or Publix and have a great produce and bulk foods section. Brother. The one printer company that sells a solid product without holding you hostage over ink. Nice try. Sinister Acquisition Corp. What's an expression that people say that makes no sense in your head? Head over heels. Isn't your head always over you heels? More X than you can shake a stick at. Did people used to shake sticks at large numbers of things? Easy as pie. Making pie is a pain in the goddamn arse. Shit eating what? You are the apple of my eye. Apparently it means you mean a lot to them. How does it translate? I have no idea. I don't understand why people say they slept like a baby. If you say that, I'm assuming you woke up every 2 hours and shit the bed. Everything happens for a reason. Say that to someone who just got raped or diagnosed with cancer. The lion is the king of the jungle. It's always the last place you look. Should be the last place I expected to look. Because once you found it, do you keep looking? No. Why do we park on the driveway and drive on the parkway? And what's the deal with airline food? Most of them I'm autistic low. What's something that's painfully obvious but people will never admit? Some people will not like you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Trying to force a friendship or relationship with someone who doesn't love you back isn't going to work. Yet very few people ever learn this lesson, nor do they want to hear about it either. They think they'll be the one person that can find that magic trick. They won't. The vast majority of people know exactly what their problems are and what they would need to do to fix them. They just feel too unequipped or overwhelmed to follow through. Boredom is healthy for promoting thinking. You can do everything 100 right and be the best in the world, but sometimes it just comes down to pure chance. Humans hate to admit to feeling jealous, yet it's usually very clear to those around you that people do pee in the swimming pool. Adults still have no idea what the fuck they are doing. I never knew that as a child. Your mental health is directly affected by your physical health. Who has most successfully milked what should have been 15 minutes of fame? That salt-sprinkling prick, Bad Baby, aka Danielle Pescoen-Spergoli. Cash me outside, how about that? Point 1 episode on Dr. He intended to exploit her and trash her on Live just proved receipts for $52 million on OnlyFans and bought a house in Florida for $6.1 million. I challenge anyone to do better quicker. Dizzy face, Dizzy. Probably Jared from Subway. I believe someone at his university wrote a story about his unusual method of weight loss, which was then picked up by national news outlets. Then Subway put him in an ad that was unusually successful, which ended up leading to 15 years of being the face of their brand. Things went downhill pretty fast from there. William Hung stuck around a good while. Not most successful, but people talked about Ken Bone way more than I would have expected. Kim Kardashian. Who is the highest-ranking officer at the hospital? General Hospital disagrees. The colonoscopy doctor was always referred to as the Rear Admiral by my father. I thought it was major contusion. Someone from the Marine Corps? General anesthesia is boring. They always put me to sleep. Whoever is the head orthopedic surgeon? That's the Joint Chief. Surgeon General. You should keep your jokes to yourself. Private. Outranked by Major General Anesthesia. I thought it would be general surgery. Major Complication outranks everybody. He now has a private practice somewhere. General Medicine. LOL, this joke brings out the inner child in me. Only if you go by the numbers. The Rear Admiral. Major Bill Foyu.